Okay, so I thought that this would be a very good segue to actually get this conversation going. What were your thoughts from this video about the tools that the gentleman talked about?
I think this is very much interesting video, which tells us that the news is spreading by through different medias, social medias, where we have embedded links, webs, and all that. So this is really an interesting part of educational journalism, I think.
Anybody else have any thoughts? One of the things that I would ask you is, do you use certain tools in your current practice right now? Like what, like the tools that you're using. So what tools, just from that little video clip, what tools do you currently use that you can see being useful in your educational journalism activities?
Sir, as most of the time that we are using is Canva, that is very handy, and we can create pictorial presentation of the news and other things which are related to education.
Right. So do any of you use social media tools or platforms?
Yes, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yes.
We share the educational news, I think, on the social media platforms.
Right. So then, from your experiences with the social media tools, I mean, I'm just kind of wondering about how you would relate to what he was saying about the use of those platforms. For example, you write a story and then you have within the story the opportunity for people who are reading it and who are, let's say, if it's a story about a particular location, who are in the location, to continue the story by adding to it with information that they have using their social media. Did you have any thoughts on that? Is it too, have you all been through a long day? In my practice as teaching, I use a significant number of tools. So for example, he talked about visualization tools. So for example, something like R or even Google Maps. When you were doing the intro, I think it was the getting to know each other, there was a
Padlet tool, yes. We use
Padlet
the
tool,
Padlet, yes.
and we actually put our locations in the Padlet tool, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So here, right now, here in the province that I'm living in Canada, there are fires. So on the news, they actually, when they're talking about the stories of the fire, they actually put, it's like a Google map, so that they show you where it is, and they give you the locations, and then they actually show you the videos, live videos of where the people are in the specific location. So you actually get real-time information of what's going on and the location of where it is in specific, like within Canada and within the province, specifically where it's located. So not everybody knows, right? So there's these tools. So we know Google Maps. Most of us are Google users of some kind, right? So some of our Google tools can be used in this. So I have a sort of like a general question. What categories of Web 2.0 tools do you think are useful, whether it's like from the video or, you get it from just generally? What categories, not specific tools, but the categories? For example, social media platforms, they include a series of category tools, right? Twitter, Facebook, etc., right? So what other categories do you think are useful?
I think if we will divide it into various categories, these may be collaborative tools, information giving tools, and many other types of tools also means for creative tools like this.
Right. So in the video, there was what I found interesting was the New York Times. She talked about it's like visualization inside the plane. So there are data visualization tools. So things like R can kind of get you to be able to see your data instead, because if I'm watching the news, I don't really want to see a bunch of numbers on the screen. What works better is if I see a graphic, right? If you give me a visual representation of the data, that's more exciting to me. And it gives me more information because I can see. So data visualization tools. The other one is online polling tools, podcasting platforms, right? We got a lot of those. Mobile reporting tools. And then in that video, virtual and augmented reality tools, right? So we had the video that he was talking about. So here's a question for you. Right at the beginning of the video, he mentioned something about regular, like, there's regular journalism. There's still some people who are still doing, the traditional journalism. So what are some advantages of using these Web 2.0 tools, right, in our journalism? What do you think?
I think
I request
these
all
are
the participants, just a minute, ma'am. I request all the participants to please join the discussion and make this session more interactive.
Even we can see Mr. Sonu Kumar, who is himself is journalist, and if you will interact, it will be beneficial for everyone. Mr. Sonu Kumar.
Yes, he is
And
a journalist.
any one of you.
Yes, Dr. Amri, Dr. Sumitra. I request all of you to please exchange your views or share your thoughts to make this session more interactive and enjoyable.
But I think the benefits of using these tools is first and foremost, we can all access information and also check whether it is correct or not when we interact with each other on these platforms. Then the information also becomes like an article might be mentioning only 3 or 4 lines about something, but since there are thousands of other people using the same source of information, we can expand that information a lot more and gain a lot more, including images these days and also audio clips, which wasn't possible earlier in the standard form of journalism.
Right.
Several advantages of educational journalism. Several advantages of Web 2.0 tools in educational journalism are interactive learning, which we can do through videos and postcards or blogs, and then we can also do collaborative learning using these tools, and also real-time feedback can be provided using these tools, and this makes the learning really accessible for different class of people. And then multimedia reporting can be done, and the major profit or major advantage of 2.0 tools are that the audience engagement is boosted many times.
Those are really great observations from both of you. Thank you. So I have this follow-on question of that, like, how can these tools enhance the storytelling capabilities when you're trying to tell it, because ultimately we're trying to tell a story, regardless of what we're reporting. We're trying to tell a story. So how do the tools help you with that task?
By making it more interactive, the tools, they make the platform more interactive. Is that it? What you're looking? I mean, is that an answer? I don't know.
Well, just, what your thoughts are, right?
Yes, I think the tools make the storytelling platform more interactive, unlike a newspaper where we can only write letters to the editor.
Right. I like when watching the video, and also even when you watch the news, sometimes on the news, they'll say, well, if you have some tips, you can send us an email, or, they have some way that you can communicate and share information with them. So, but I like the idea of what he was saying for the story about the Haiti earthquake, where there were opportunities for people to actually add information to the story. This is one of the things that I think we've seen it in the last several years. We've seen this becoming more of an issue where the journalists have a story, but if you go online, you'll find that, and even on their story page, there may be posts coming in that are updating what they've written, right? And this idea of continually getting information, it sort of goes beyond the traditional journalism that we experienced, right? Anybody else have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the story becomes more interesting, and all this usage of various tools brings more authenticity to the news and the story being covered. That's what I think.
Yes.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, but actually the video you shared, I think most of the participants couldn't hear anything out of it because it was on mute
Really?
or something. We just saw, I could go through the subtitles at the bottom, but it was quite difficult. We didn't hear anything. If you could kindly make us hear the video again, please.
Sir, even you can share the link also, because there is some problem whenever we share screen. Some audio problem is there always. So if you can share that link
in the chat box, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just 1 second here. Okay, I think this should be it there. That should be it. Okay, so here's another question that I have for you. And it has to do with engagement. I think some of you have mentioned engagement. So how do we use the tools, whatever they are, to build this engagement that we want for the audience and then build community? How can we do that?
Sir, please repeat the question.
So I'm wondering about how we can use these Web 2.0 tools to build engagement and community, right? Like audience, you want to engage with the audience, and then you want to build community. So what are your thoughts?
Yes, when we
Go
share
ahead.
a news or a story on social media, we can engage the participants or audience to share their thoughts, their views. So I think social media is a good platform to engage the audience.
Perfect.
So we can also do votes by using votes casting. I mean, making interactive. Nowadays, there are polls and votes for many of the things. So by using that system, we can make it more interactive on any platform.
Right. Dr. Amrik, you had... Oh, we can't hear you.
You are not audible, sir. Amrik, sir. So you are not audible. No, not yet, sir.
Am I audible now?
Yes, now you're audible.
Okay. So the best part of the Web 2 technique is that they are the interactive platform, open platform like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Anybody can comment on that. And the
Right.
real time communication is there, and you can update there, share your video, photos, and if anything is there, you can do that.
Right.
They are the interactive. Basically, the best part is there. They have the, you can say, facility of interaction, two-way traffic.
Right. Right. That's one of the things that I think we like about our technologies these days, right? We can get real-time interactivity going on, right?
Yeah.
So I have I know that in your course you are actually going to, I think you're in the process of that. I think you did it. You talked about the ethics. So there's a question that I'm going to pose here. What do you think are some of the ethical considerations when you're using these tools? You should have many because you talked about these just recently, right?
Yes, the fourth module is all about the ethical considerations.
So what would you say? I know we all are aware of most recently all this talk about AI, and so there's lots of conversation on AI. Here in North America, there's a whole bunch of conversations going on, but just focusing on the Web 2.0 tools and the conversations that you've had in the course on ethics, what would you say are some of the considerations when using these tools?
Some of the major ethical considerations while using Web 2.0 tools are privacy, cyberbullying, intellectual property rights, and transparency, accessibility, and data protection and cybersecurity.
Right. So essentially, because most of you are in the education business, they're similar to what you would have in education. You need to protect, there's the privacy issue, GDPR issues, right? So those don't go away, even when you're using them for journalistic purposes, right? Anybody else have any thoughts? No. Okay, so then I have some specific examples. I'm wondering, because I know we've heard about Twitter, we've heard about Facebook, there's Instagram, we know about YouTube, we use the YouTube video. And there was mention of Canva and Google Maps. So I'm wondering if you can all, just name out some of the tools that you think would be useful when you're, involved in creating stories. What are some of the tools that you would use in addition to the ones that have been mentioned?
Sir, InDesign is one of the tools used for printing. InDesign.
Uh-huh.
And a Quark Express is another one, sir.
So
Sir,
you use those. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, I use my Microsoft PowerPoint presentation and other video editor app in my mobile like Filmigo, and YouTube Shorts is also a way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Other people using other tools? These are really good tools.
Some other tools that we can use to create stories are storyboard that Canva has already been mentioned, and then Adobe, we can use PictoChart, and Google is a basic tool, and then we can use StoryMap.js or Twine or Animoto H5P, Storyline, Flotagon, and Prezi, Disney, and there are many more.
Yes, there's lots and lots of them. It's a never-ending it's a never-ending list, because when somebody finds that there's something missing, they go and create some tool, right? So when you're communicating with other journalists that you want to connect with, or maybe you want to write a story together, what kind of tools do you consider using for that communication, that connectivity? One of the tools that I've used before in teaching is Slack. It's good for communicating with people across. It doesn't matter where they are. You just all get on and you can sort of communicate with each other.
Other than
Any
that,
other?
can use Trello, which is a great project management tool, or we can simply use Google Drive or Microsoft.
Yes. Yes. I think all of us will always go back to Google. Google has all these little tools that they entice us back with, right? So, does anybody use things like TikTok?
Sir, I never use TikTok, but use the YouTube Shorts only.
Okay. So, but again, like we said, there's a lot of different tools. So, what about when you're writing stories? What do you generally use? Okay, of course, you can write within Microsoft Word, and then post. What other tools do you think are helpful when you're writing?
Sir, I first create my story, write my dialogues, and record audio on the with the visual pictures, and with the video editing app, I complete my story and post it on YouTube.
Okay. You have the
So
perfect workflow.
self-publishing blogs would qualify for this?
It's writing. Yes. So when you're using a blog, what are the tools that you're using?
The self-created images usually are better rather than stock images. So self-taken pictures, and of course the material, which is better if it is taken like from personal experiences.
Right.
So these are the two tools which I used when I was doing my blog stories. So yes, also a news website.
Okay. So one of the tools I came across was something called Medium, and then of course there's things like WordPress, which you're talking about, blog tools, and Tumblr. Those are additional tools there. I know there's people like to use things like WordPress because on there you can have an an RSS feed, and then there's a place where people can actually give feedback, right, on your story. So WordPress seems to be one of the blogging tools seem to be popular because of that, right? Are there any other tools that people are using? Yes.
Sir, what about this new entry of AI chat GPT?
Yes, we. So how would you? What would be your usage of the AI?
Like it's something story creating, as well as there are some other tools which will create video, etc. Video,
Right.
pictures, editing, something like that.
Okay. Recently, I was in a session where we were talking about Chat GPT, and there's a lot of different things that are there. But again, we go back to the section that you were just learning about, the ethics, right? One of the big issues with the AI is the ethics are still in discussion, right? How to make sure that we're using the tools ethically, right?
Yeah.
So what about visualization tools? What have people used for visualization? Okay, we've heard about taking your own photos. You can also use photos that are available. What other And I think there was mention in the chat of Animoto web tool, which I think provides, is it animations? It gives you animations?
Animation,
what-
short video.
Right. So what other tools for those type of things have people used or are people using?
Sir, if I'm writing the story or making the story of my student's book, from my student's book, I usually take pictures from the book and with the text beside them, and use the audio recording, voiceover, like.
Right. Okay. So someone in the chat here put Zoom and Google Meet to share content, right? So there is a whole range of tools. There's one I'm thinking about. There's like these little, but of course, it just depends on what you're trying to achieve. A lot of the things that you're doing in digital journalism are focused on the educational aspect of it, right? So I'm just kind of curious about the specific tools that people are using. What other tools that are out of those areas do you use? Anyone? Like I'm wondering if anybody uses anything that is in the range of the what we call the, like extended reality, so VR, AR, those type of things. Does anybody use any of those? In some education circles here in Canada, one of the things they're using VR for is to teach. For example, the police, when they're teaching the police and first responders and nursing, when they're teaching them, they have virtual simulations. So they'll, with the knowledge that they have, they'll go into this virtual simulation. And the idea is for them to apply the knowledge that they have to this case successfully. And so it's used as a way to test the students, right? So it's one of the uses of the VR here that we're seeing is because in the case of those particular areas, the students don't have to go to the hospital, or they don't have to go and tag along with the police. They can actually go into the environment and have an actual scenario that they would encounter, put to them so that they sort of take their training and respond appropriately. And then they can be they've given feedback on how they respond or how they should have responded, right? So it's a good way to give feedback. That's what's one of the things. So somebody has put in the chat there, Unity and Blender. So how would you use, for example, those two, Unity and Blender? If you could expand on those.
Hina ma'am, please. Okay, to create VR games, etc.
Okay. Okay. So anybody else with any interesting thoughts on the usage of the tools? I know we heard about the creation of voiceovers, right? You have a PowerPoint and then you have a voiceover and then you're using that, right? Any other ways that you're creatively putting together your content using whatever tools it is that you have? Anybody? Okay, so somebody has put in the chat, the book creator. Could you expand on that? Exactly how would you use this? Okay, and Nearpod, yes.
Basically, I am using that in my course. See, I have developed right now 2 or 3 modules. So I'm using that in my own MOOCs. I'm developing that with the help of using Book Creator. So I'm working on that basically. In fact, I use this for my students also for making a kind of presentations, like they are giving their lesson plans in in schools
Okay.
you could say like science experiment of class 6th or 7th, right? So I asked my students to record a video of that and put that video in book created in the form of a lesson, and to make the content more interesting. So this is how I used this book creator for my students.
Okay, right. Perfect. So when you're bringing in your students into this task of creating stories, what will you get your students to use? So you've heard how Dr. Saram Bansal is actually doing that. What about everybody else? How are you bringing your students into the storytelling process?
I use Padlet platform for that, to make
Okay.
my students more engaging and share their thoughts. They discuss over there, and they enjoy learning actually with the help of these platforms.
Okay.
And I also can share my personal experiences, like for example, like I am creating this MOOC, and I have undergone so many challenges and I have learned so many things. So I share that with my students to this Padlet platform. They learn and enjoy, and I also learn from them because the young generation has more ideas. So I think these tools are really do wonders in our teaching, learning, or share our ideas and stories like that.
Right.
One more thing. I'm using Pixton as well as Storyboard. Say a topic, for example, parenting style. So I taught this topic to my student and asked them to create a story on the basis of the four parenting style: authoritarian, authoritative, and they come up with wonderful stories created on Pixton as well as by using a storyboard, right? Like for example, there is a conversation between daughter and a father, right? About their marks, how much marks they got in particular test, right? After then, which kind of parenting style they adopt. So this is how my students come up with wonderful stories after working on that particular topic. Yeah.
Right. So anybody else with any thoughts on ways to sort of bring the students into the whole learning process and the storytelling process?
So sometimes I give my children some roles from the story and tell them to play the role, and I record the video and put voiceover on them, some lines, and make a whole video and put it to YouTube to watch and watch them at home also. They show their parents that we do this in our school. That's it.
Okay.
Next, I ask my students to record a podcast, yeah, like per se as a topic of magnetism. So I asked them to create this topic with the help of a story and record this in the form of a podcast. So they did this also. So I'm using these kind of content with my students on regular basis.
Right. So then, so you're putting them in YouTube, and then there's as Sonali was saying.
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. So then, I'm just kind of wondering how you sum up this whole Web 2.0 experience. I mean, do you have some summaries of things that you think for you, if you move further into this area of educational journalism and writing stories using, these tools, of things that you would want to try, let's say, like going out of your comfort zone, because most of you are already doing something, but what are some things that you think you would like to maybe incorporate? Because we have a lot of different tools, right?
Yes, absolutely. There are lots of tools. I heard so many new tools in the chat box that I haven't heard before. So I think in the field of educational journalism, if we want to write some story or we want to share some news regarding education, uh, Web 2.0 tools can help us in lots of ways. Like earlier, as the participants said, we make our news more engaging and more authentic also.
Mhm. Right.
I think these Web 2.0 tools are very much important for educational journalism purpose.
Right. So anybody else with some thoughts about what they're, like, given this little discussion that we've had here, what are you challenged to do in terms of adding to the skill set that you currently have?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Myself, Rashi Tripathi. Sir, I want to add some things in this discussion. As in COVID time, I used to teach in a school, and there we used to use the WhatsApp. We have created a WhatsApp group, and students used to learn the things and send in a audio and video ways from their textbook. So that was a short type of learning from by the help of WhatsApp and Google Classroom. We used to send the assignment and content on that, and students used to do their work and submit in that. And further, if I want to add now, then I will add Edmodo, that I also mentioned in the group, where we can do the study in a collaborative group way. Like as you told, like there should be something like we can teach in a collaboration, like from the other state or country also we can engage the students in a teaching learning process. So Edmodo is the one platform where teachers can create online collaborative group, and even they can also provide the e-content or further educational material to students, and analyze their performance by taking short quiz and by polling. And further, we can also give them a personalized teaching experience and engaging students so that they can learn from each other. Thank you, sir.
Yes, that's very, very informative. That's very interesting, because actually in open education, that's one of the big issues, getting the students to be co-creators of content. And I think, part of student engagement, I know when I'm a student, I always want to be engaged in the learning process, but also in the creation process, not just
one thing more, sir, I want to add. As I have studied in a smart classroom, there the concept of AI is being inculcating further, where students will be not just able to see the and listen the content which is already kept in the software that the smart classroom they possess, but even they can also, by the help of internet and connecting with other students from different countries, they will be able to interact. So smart classroom will also be further the medium to communicate with other students by the help of artificial intelligence. And that we are, as a teacher and educator, we are also keenly how it will be happen further in schools and in other educational institutions.
So that goes back to what Dr. Amrik said earlier about AI, right? Incorporating AI and sort of potentially breaking open the classroom so that you have a greater experience that's enriched because more people can participate. There is in the chat there, Dr. Amrik put some tools in there that you can see. There's a list, an extensive list. Just so that you, just to give you an idea, yesterday, I actually went into ChatGPT and I gave it a question. I asked it, okay, what are the common tools available for digital journalism? And it returned a list of 20 different tools, right? And I was very specific. I actually put in what are the common tools used in Asia, for example, and it returned 20 tools, okay? Most of which are included in the list that is here. Some of them are not included, but they're included in the list that you can see in the chat there that Dr. Amrik Singh put in there. You see there, all those tools. It just listed 20 of them. He's got more than 20, right? So AI, it does have some part to play in our education. It's just that we just need the ethic thing that you learned about to be taken care of, right? So by the time you finish your course, you'll be able to sort of have some ethics around how to use AI plus other tools, right? And in your journalism. So does anybody else have any last thoughts about these tools and how, you know, they can help you to be better educational journalists? Anybody with any last thoughts?
I'm not sure what is happening in globally, but if we go through the present context of India, social media, which is termed as new media, that is overruling the traditional media. Like it's a real time, it's interactive, and it's exposing the in ethics there is some propaganda agenda. So the person he can put straight away his view, and then things will come more clear than the both point of view. Like there is the system in India, if we talk about the media who is in the NCR, he is termed as a national media, who is just in Delhi only. He is not concerned because India is the, you can say, the second largest populated country, seventh largest by area, but the media who are in the NCR, National Capital Region, they term themselves as a national media. So they don't have the reach, more wider reach. But the new media, it's giving you access of the far and remote area as well.
Right, right.
That is the power of new media, social media. The only then there is the one term which is called citizen journalist. So it's new media as of now is becoming more powerful and more accessible. And the strength of this new media is the interactiveness.
Right.
If I am saying something, I may be wrong, and the other person clear the perspective of the ground reality, because sometimes it's misleading as well.
I think that was one of the things that you were learning in your course about the misinformation and disinformation, which also was mentioned in the video.
That's why source and the authenticity is the more important.
Right. And we have some of the tools that are in there are the Web 2.0 tools that are there. Some of those tools can help you with those, making sure that you're seeking out the right sources, or you're going and checking the sources that you've got. So for me, I mean, I'm here in Canada, actually, and one of the things is that, as you mentioned, the traditional media, in a way, is sort of is dying really quickly because the other media is readily available, and particularly because everybody has a smartphone now. And so it's very easy to go and get a really good video of an event that's happened and then post it, which a lot of people are doing. So the traditional media where, okay, we wait for the story tomorrow to appear, it's outdated by the time it appears tomorrow because it's already appeared maybe the same hour that it occurred, right?
Yeah. No, there was something like we are talking about ethics. They are we have few years back, they were the big, you can say, the backdoor dealer boys. So they're dying, and they are now becoming, who were the national journalists, as a, you can say, the charming boy of the government. They are now as a YouTuber. They get down on the street now. They don't have anything because they lost their credibility due to this new media. They got exposed.
Right.
So like there was in this module 4, if there is the pressure of advertisement or something like that, same way they were somebody pet and they were doing something, they got exposed and they are totally on roll now, we can say.
Right, right.
So that is also the power of new media.
I think one of the things that I like, and it was mentioned in the video, is the accountability, because there are people who will, you report the story, and if you leave it open for people to have comments, there will be people who will post comments on there. And so you can't just you can't just have one view. There's going to be all kinds of people that will have the other side of things there. There's that greater accountability.
Facebook and Twitter, they are also not like that way, because they have also the left leaning, and there was a big issue going on. Like once it was not with the Elon Musk, then he has displaced the whole team. So that is also other point, because somebody will be somewhere, like who will finance, he will affect them anyway.
Right.
So monitoring of them is also very important. Otherwise, they will become again monster like the traditional media.
Yes. So that's, and one of the things that's why the blogging tools are very interesting, because of the fact that you have the person putting a blog, but then they also put there's a place for other people to comment on there, right? And so you get the views. There's a balance, right? So for me personally, incorporating those blogging tools is becoming more of an interesting thing. But also, I'm especially interested in integrating these more things like VR, those type of tools, because you can sort of tell a story with those tools more clearly, like they showed with the COVID in the airplane, the COVID, showing how it spreads. You can sort of do that. So in education, of course, it's easy. A picture is worth 1,000 words, right? If you want to show a process, you bring in this animation, and the animation will do what your 2, 3, 4 pages of words will require, right? But it engages the students a little bit more. So I think that's one of the things that I'm personally, the interactivity that's been mentioned in this session, I think that's the big thing, because when I'm watching the news, I want to sort of see the interactivity of it. I want to be able to hear people on the ground talking, right? And sharing what they're experiencing on the ground, so that I'm not just getting the one person who's reporting and whoever they represent, their view, but I'm also getting the people that are there, that live there. I'm getting their view too, right? That becomes important. I don't know if any of you, it's important to any of you. Any last thoughts? I think somebody else mentioned there was a bit more put in there. You put in more on the Blender and the games and the VR element that it has to it, and the 3D.
Just a description. It's a description of these two.
Yeah. So there is in the US, in my institution, there was a couple of us that were looking at 3D is becoming something that people are investigating. So there is a recently created tool that can use 3D apps to create something that sort of leaps out at you on the page. But it's a new tool, but it's an interesting tool because, again, it's more of an engaging interactive element where you have somebody or some 3D object that can then be modeled out of it's like a little tablet basically. So something similar to Blender, but it kind of takes it a little bit beyond that. So I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the exact name. But the only thing is it's only available in the US right now. That's why I was just looking at it yesterday, but it's only available in the US. It's a new tablet. I can't remember the name exactly. But
anyway, thank you.
Anyway, they will not share the technique.
Well, the company will eventually. It's just that I think one of the things that they're trying to work on getting it so that it matures a little bit more, because for them it's about money, right? So eventually they will get it out to the rest of the markets. But in the meantime, while it's still in its infancy, they want to sort of limit it, right? So I guess to avoid people going beyond them, maybe competition.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know, Dr. Kavita Batra, are we at the end, or do you want to continue? I'm not sure if anybody has any last thoughts or.
As you wish, sir. If you have something more, you can continue. Otherwise,
no.
I know you have a lot of data because we continuously getting your support throughout this course. So I know you have lots of things in your store. So, but I request other participants, if you want to ask something or you want to share your thoughts regarding Web 2.0 tools for educational journalism, you are welcome.
Hello. So one thing I want to mention, like as we have talked about the online social media as journalism now, it's not just on a traditional basis, but it is totally converted into a technology based something like that is being news has been provided in our Twitter and also Facebook and various other social sites are also available where we can know what's going on in our country and in other country. But main thing is, can we rely on that news? Like in Facebook many thoughts are being placed by the journalism, but all are not true, and people are being manipulated by that. Sometimes like we listen to something and it's not true. So as you told about the ethical consideration, so there the ethical consideration, I think it's lacking somewhere by like converting the this journalism in a 2.0 way. There I think journalists should focus on that also, sir. Like whatever news has been posted on a social media like Twitter, many things are, we know that it's unrelevant data is much less there, but in a Facebook and other social sites and blogs, sometimes the things are not relevant. So the general people, those who like read that, they can be like their mind can be in a confused state because things are not clear to them. Actually the online they are seeing something else, in newspaper they are seeing something else, and in the social media it's showing something else. I think you got my point what I'm saying. Thanks, sir.
Yes. So in your course, I think there was a section that talked about misinformation and disinformation, right? So then when you are creating stories, and even when you see a story, you know you have the tools to sort of say, okay, to get people to say, okay, now we need to check this, go to the source and see how true is this? Can we find out, can we confirm and go back to their sources? If they don't have sources, then okay, what is the, is this really true, right? I mean, this is a big issue with, well, it's a very, very big issue. During COVID, here in North America, we had a lot of misinformation, disinformation, a lot of it, unfortunately. And that's why I was saying that it's interesting when the stories are there and then there's opportunity for people to actually be able to post things, because then they will actually, you have the people coming in and saying, okay, but there is this situation, and there you'll get points of view from a different perspective, right? And especially like the story in that video talks about the Haiti earthquake. So there was a report about it, but then they had people in real time that were on the ground adding to the report, so that now you see that particular one, you have sources on the ground that are confirming what that story was saying, right? And so that becomes the big issue. Like, can you go back to find sources that will confirm the story that you have there? Because sometimes it's a bunch of disinformation, and you have to drill down to sort of see, okay, is this true or not? And like you mentioned, for the average person who may not have that information, may not know to look at the sources or search for sources to confirm, well, that's where you come in as digital journalists, right? You come in and say, well, hang on, okay, let's see if this is true, right? When you see a report that's somehow fishy because you see that there's no source information, you can sort of say, well, let's actually look at this and find out. And then you can do an expose and say, well, here are the facts, right? So that you sort of debunk whatever that story is, right? That's, I think, part of the work of anybody in digital journalism, to make sure you're safeguarding, right? Anybody else? But that is a very, it was in your course, and it is an issue that we're dealing with and I think it's going to be an issue we'll be dealing with for a very long time. So knowing how to really look at the sources to sort of verify what you're being told, that's key. It's really a key thing. And that's why in your course, you were talking about going to sources, getting sources, multiple sources, confirming, because sometimes, yeah, sometimes a person gives you a story, and then when you go check the sources, you're like, you find out that, okay, no, there's nothing in this story, right? And then you have to go to a different story. So, but there are people who don't really care about that because they want to spread disinformation, misinformation, right? So we can drill down to sort of see which side of the fence they're on. That becomes important. That's why they designed the course and put that information in your course. So you'll become some of those, those people that will drill down and sort of figure out when those things are not quite what they should be, right? Does anybody else have anything that they want to add to the conversation? Anybody?
Mr. Martin, so we have lots of comments in the chat box.
Yes.
That this is an excellent session, informative session.
Oh, I was just going to mention the technology I was talking about. I put it in the chat there. There's a link in the chat. It's a LumiPad. That's what it's called. It's a little tablet. So I'll just turn it back to
Thank you.
the
Thank
two of
you,
you.
Suruchi ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Ambik. Thank you, Shefali ma'am. Thank you, Vijay sir, Martin ji. So we have so many messages in the chat box that this is very much informative session. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Sonu. Thank you, Son ma'am, Priyanka ma'am. So lots of messages are flowing in the chat box. Thank you, all of you. So thank you, Mr. Isaac. This was really a wonderful session. And the beauty of this session is that you made this session totally interactive. We missed that part in our previous sessions, but you really made this session very much interactive. And I really enjoyed this session and learned a lot from all of you. So thank you so much. Mr. Isaac, you have talked about data visualization, podcasting, AR, VR, authenticity, engagement, and so many things. And all these things are very much important for an educational journalist. So now I would like to invite Dr. Kiran Rita ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Kavita ma'am.
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
I have no words to say anything because it was really very interactive and very nice session by Mr. Isaac, and he's very good motivating source of I can say for many things.
Exactly, totally agreed with Kiran ma'am. We are very much grateful to Mr. Isaac.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Mr. Isaac Mulolini, who is from University of Regina and who is a mentor also, for continuous support and for continuous guidance. So our heartfelt thanks to him for this synchronous session, and our thanks to all the participants, those who were very interactive in this session, especially Dr. Amrik, Dr. Sonam, Dr. Rashi, and Adbhut Pratap, and many others. And I can see Mr. Martin, he is very, very sincere participant who is continuously working in this MOOC and continuously participating in all the activities, and very, very interested and very keen to know each and everything with Suruchi Tulyesan ma'am. She is also very active in this course. So Sonali Maurya ma'am and many other faces I can see, Neha Sharma and many other, those who are actively participating in all these things. So my heartfelt thanks to everyone, and my thanks to Manohar Memorial College and her principal also, Mr. Narendra Kumar, Dr. Narendra Kumar, Dr. Balwan, who are also very good support in moving towards this online journey, because as we are developers, but still we are learning lot of things in daily basis, because whenever participants ask anything, we are also very keen and curious to know that what is the solution and what we can do in all these things. And Dr. Amrik is really very motivating source of because
Thank
he is
you.
very active
Thank you.
participant.
Absolutely true. Thank you so
So,
much, sir.
thank you so much to one and all those who are present here. And this, my special thanks to Dr. Batra, who has coordinated this webinar in a successful manner. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Without you, ma'am, I'm not able to do anything. You are my true motivator, and okay.
We all are. And when we get very nice comments from Mr. Isaac, that is also very motivating, that we are super ladies and we are working, and that is
Yes.
great. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Once
everyone.
again, Mr. Isaac from Manohar Memorial College of Education, Fatehabad, and from our MOOC team, I once again thank you so much for joining us. I know it's too early for you, but thank you for accepting our request to join this session. Once again, thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
have
Thank
a
you. It was
nice
like
day.
a live classroom.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to participate and join you in this activity.
It was
Thank
really
you.
nice, sir.
Yes.
Very.
Mr. Isaac is really very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ajay sir. Thank you, Kiran ma'am. Thank you, Kavita.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Narendra ji.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I request all the participants, please stay here for 2 or 3 minutes. Thank you, Isaac, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, thank you so much.
Once if we can switch on our videos, we can take a
Yes,
quick
yes. अभी हम
group
अपना
photo.
वीडियो स्विच ऑन कर सकते हैं. पहले भी कर सकते थे.
All of you, please switch on your videos.
We just want to thank all the participants of this MOOC कि आपने इस जर्नी को इतना इंटरेस्टिंग और इतना इंटरैक्टिव बनाया. जब हम इस जर्नी को लेके चले थे तो बहुत सारे डाउट्स थे हमारे मन में कि ये कैसे पॉसिबल होगा और हम लोग इसे कैसे एंड तक लेके जाएंगे, लेकिन आप लोगों के सपोर्ट से, सहयोग से हमने ये 4 वीक जर्नी बहुत ही आसानी से और बहुत ही इजीली तय कर ली है और यकीन ही नहीं हो रहा है कि इतनी जल्दी हम एंड पे पहुंच गए इस कोर्स के. तो दिल से आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक यू सो मच फ्रॉम बॉटम ऑफ आवर हार्ट. थैंक यू सो मच.
हेलो, हमारी आवाज आ रही है मैम?
जी आ रही है, बिल्कुल आ रही है.
मैम आगे भी अगर जर्नलिज्म से रिलेटेड का भी टॉपिक पर आगे भी चर्चा करवाएं, क्योंकि जहां ऑफलाइन सारे कार्यक्रम हो रहे हैं वहां ऑनलाइन कार्यक्रम आपके द्वारा होना बहुत बड़ी बात है. इसलिए आगे भी अगर जर्नलिज्म पे से रिलेटेड विषय से अगर आगे भी अगर इस तरह की जानकारी पूर्ण कार्यक्रम हो तो अवश्य जोड़ें.
जी जी जी
धन्यवाद.
जरूर
मैं
जरूर
पटना
सर.
बिहार से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ, हिंदी पत्रकारिता और जनसंचार का
अरे
विद्यार्थी हूँ.
अरे
पीजी
बहुत
कर रहा
बढ़िया,
हूँ.
सौभाग्य हमारा सर. थैंक यू सो मच. थैंक यू. तो ये ऑनलाइन
इसीलिए तो मैंने कहा मैम कि कोरोना काल ने हम लोग को एक नया अचीवमेंट दिया है, जूम, गूगल मीट और वेबएक्स के माध्यम से जुड़ने का. मगर कोरोना काल के बाद से मैं देख रहा हूँ कि सारे जगह ऑफलाइन कार्यक्रम हो रहे हैं, जिसमें जो दूर दराज में बैठे हुए जो छात्र हैं उनके साथ समस्याएं उत्पन्न हो गई हैं कि वो अब जाए तो जाए कहाँ. तो इसीलिए अगर इस तरह के कार्यक्रम अगर ऑनलाइन आगे भी हो तो अवश्य जोड़ें.
जरूर सर, जरूर. ये तो ऑनलाइन इतना अच्छा माध्यम है. देखिए हम सभी इस टाइम कितनी दूर दराज क्षेत्रों में हैं और जुड़े हुए हैं एक दूसरे से, और आपको देख के बहुत ही अच्छा भी लग रहा है. तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। एक रिक्वेस्ट है आप सबसे, जिसके लिए मैंने आप सबको रोका यहाँ पे, कि आप जितनी भी आपकी पेंडिंग असाइनमेंट्स हैं वो सब असाइनमेंट्स आप टाइमली कंप्लीट कर लीजिए, ताकि आपके सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोसेस में कोई प्रॉब्लम ना आए। जिन लोगों ने अभी तक प्री कोर्स सर्वे नहीं फिल किया है या फिर अपना पेडलेट पे इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं किया आपने, वो कंप्लीट कर ले, ताकि मंडे को हम एक पोस्ट कोर्स सर्वे का जो लास्ट हमारा है, एक छोटा सा असाइनमेंट तो नहीं कहेंगे, जो हमारा फीडबैक मॉड्यूल रहेगा, उसे हम मंडे को ओपन कर देंगे। और आप सबसे एक बार फिर से रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप जितनी भी पेंडिंग आपकी क्विजेज हैं, असाइनमेंट्स हैं, उनको कंप्लीट कर लें। तो आप लोगों के साथ ये जर्नी बहुत ही अच्छी रही। आशा है कि आगे भी हम इस तरीके के कार्यक्रम करते रहेंगे और इस तरीके के प्रोग्राम्स होते रहेंगे और जुड़े रहेंगे। थैंक यू,
मैम एक बात मैं
मार्टिन फॉर जॉइनिंग अस।
मैम एक बात मैं पूछना चाह रहा हूँ। मैंने फिर आपके द्वारा जो भेजा गया था रजिस्ट्रेशन लिंक, मैंने रजिस्ट्रेशन किया है, क्या कोई अटेंडेंस लिंक भी है क्या?
नहीं नहीं नहीं, अटेंडेंस लिंक नहीं है। यही यहाँ पे आपकी अटेंडेंस, एक्चुअली जूम आपकी अटेंडेंस को ऑटोमेटिकली रिकॉर्ड कर रहा है, तो हमारे पास आपकी अटेंडेंस आ चुकी है, तो डोंट वरी अबाउट द अटेंडेंस। थैंक यू, सो थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ यू। मिलते रहेंगे हम इसी तरीके के ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर और आपसे बहुत कुछ सीखते रहेंगे।
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. You may leave now. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you,
Hello.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. जी
कविता मैम, अगर आप अपना नंबर अगर शेयर कर दे तो मैं आपको पर्सनल व्हाट्सएप कर दूंगा, ताकि आप मुझे आगे की सेशन की जानकारी दे सकें।
जी सर।
Hello, ma'am.
जी हेलो।
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, may I want to know that to get the certificate, we have to complete all the assignment which is given in the dashboard.
Yes, yes, yes. All the quizzes and assignments.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for this.
Once again, I will share in the group, WhatsApp group, or in announcement also, what you have to complete for certificate. So don't worry about that.
Okay, ma'am.
We'll always with you. Thank you so much. And I shared my number. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.